this Glock 40 Spaz album was fucking awesome. I was not expecting it for it to be this good. I mean, I've been aware of Glock 40 Spaz for a while. I remember when I started trying to get into underground music. That was back in like 2023. This was one of the names that you would see come up over and over again. Like if you want to get into what's popular right now, what's good, what the young kids are doing, especially in Atlanta, Glock 40 Spaz. So like, I was aware that he was popular, but I don't know if I caught his wave when he was at his peak of people loving his music. If anything, I started getting into him right when he went to prison for some time. And then he came back out, and then, according to his fans, he wasn't making music that they loved. So I was just like, okay, I guess I caught him at the wrong time. I'm not aware of this mythical peak, this mythical run that Glock 40 Spaz went on. But the thing I would always hear is that, you know, that he's a great artist, and also like he has some of the best production in the underground. So with this album, you know, I know I had to listen to it with y'all on twitch.tv/PottyMouthStreams, because I'm like, okay, I think it's time. This is his first like real album after getting out. This is a sequel to his first ever album, Baby Woe 2. So I'm like, okay, let's see what the hype is about. And I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the more pleasurable album experiences I've had all year. Let me tell you why, and I think this goes in line with something that there's a through line with a lot of the albums that we listen to from artists that are not necessarily lyrical, right? And we try to figure out, okay, how do you judge things for what they are? How do you judge things that are just a vibe? Last week we had a heated exchange, Dom and I, when we talked about the Offset album, because I feel like for him the vibe worked perfectly, versus for me the vibe of the album did not work for me at all. Like I didn't vibe. If anything, I was just kind of like annoyed, because I felt like the music wasn't good. Like I wasn't able to grab onto anything, or anything that I could. I felt like you could do better than this, or I was promised better. I don't know. Wasn't able to vibe. The week before that, or 2 weeks before that, Bryson Tiller dropped an album that I also wasn't enjoying at first, but then Dom sold me on the idea of like, you know, this is a vibe album. This is perfectly manicured, 12 tracks, front to back. You can play this vibe out. You don't got to listen to it. I think this introduces a new wrinkle to this idea of the vibe album, where like there's the other albums. I think the Offset and the Bryson Tiller album are vibier in more of a chiller sense. This is a vibe in terms of like you are turned up. If you want some fucking good, enjoyable, fun, vibey, but turned up music, especially from like an Atlanta trap artist, I don't see how you can do better than this. I mean, this is fucking really good. Like, here's the thing that also shocked me. The album is 47 minutes. I did not think he could sustain my interest in energy, primarily energy, because I would say that's the biggest thing that he brought to this album, besides from the immaculate production, is the energy that he brought to this album. I did not think he could carry that for 47 minutes. And for the most part, he did. I liked about like 17 out of the 20 tracks, which is incredible for one of these artists. And I think, again, it's just, I thought the album was immaculately paced. I feel like barely, maybe 2 or 3 songs ever felt like they were longer than they needed to be. Again, the beats were probably the best of any album that I've heard this year. The rapping was really good, but primarily the flows and energy. And the times where he experimented, which a lot of the times is where these artists kind of fall apart, because they're like trying to go for more than they can accomplish. It worked. He had a Jersey Club song and a Dane song, and they both work, bro. That is insane. To me, that speaks to like an ability to maintain a certain energy throughout the album. Be a true master of ceremony. This is something that Dom and I talk about often on our podcast, on Potty Mouth, on patreon.com/pottymouth, or the YouTube channel Potty Mouth, where you can see our other videos. But we often talk about how a lot of artists nowadays, a lot of younger artists, are kind of reverting back to being the master of ceremonies for the beats. The beats are kind of what takes center stage. And as you heard me just glaze just now, the production was incredible. I love the production, but what he did, Glock 40 Spaz, that a lot of artists, especially on the underground, can't do, like a Protect, for example, who's a recent underground artist we just listened to. Something that Glock 40 Spaz was able to do is match the energy of the beat with the vocals, on top of pretty good rapping, nothing lyrical, but something pretty good. Like, he was able to maintain that energy and match it, and I think that made the song even fucking better. Most of the album was like, yo, I was saying earlier as I was listening to this to chat, I was like, it's really hard for me to turn my brain off when I'm listening to music, especially when I'm on stream, I'm on camera, I'm listening to music, I'm trying to be somewhat critical. It's very rare that an album forces me to turn my brain off and just smile and have a good time. And that's exactly what the energy of this album gave to me, bro. I probably top 3 better underground albums of the year. I know Skywater dropped that. I think Gigi's still up there for me. And there's somebody I'm not remembering. But in terms of underground artists right now, I feel like this shit was definitely like top 3. I love this. I get the Glock 40 Spaz hype now. I totally get it. And you know what's funny? Not only do I get it, I think this kind of music, I think, is very accessible, I think, to older folk, because there is a generational kind of like branch that you could see. This is definitely in conversation with an artist like Tay-K, in my opinion, who obviously is in jail right now. He's in prison, not jail. He's in prison, and he couldn't really, I guess, see his potential through, obviously, because things that he did. But like, I think Glock 40 Spaz is definitely in line with what Tay-K would have been doing if he wasn't in prison. Like, he would be rapping over the same exact beats, over the same exact type of production, with his energy and his great, like, rapping. Bro, I love this shit. This shit, I'm low-key, I'm slightly blown away by how much I enjoyed myself listening to this album. And it might even make like my top 10 of the year. I'm not gonna lie, which I never would have thought. Glock 40 Spaz of all people. I recommend you go listen to this album if you're watching this. I know it sounds like I'm glazing. And you're like, who the fuck is this Glock 40 Spaz? This underground artist from Atlanta? What? You go listen to it and you will see what I'm talking about in terms of like great production, great energy, pretty good rapping, but most of all, immaculate master of ceremonying. I love this album.
Potty mouth. Stop playing.
Well, hello, Potty Mouth.